a messy mind. Think I need to help you. I'm gonna try. Cute as hell, baby. Hotter than flames. Wanna burn together in a million ways. Now let me take the lead. Know you wanna play with me. Got secrets you might wanna see. You might wanna see. You might wanna. I know I'm not gonna regret this. Wanna get reckless for you to the test, yeah. I know I'm not gonna regret this. I wanna get reckless. I wanna get reckless. I wanna get reckless. I wanna get reckless. Couldn't keep your poker face. But boy, you kept me waiting when I wanted to race. Sweet as hell, baby. You're a sugar rush. I knew you were given temptation, was craving. You love it, you hate it. Now let me take the lead. Know you wanna play with me. Got secrets you might wanna see. You might wanna see. You might wanna. Lock the doors, zip it all. Kiss my neck, but you want more. Scream your name deep in the night. Work your way around my thighs, explore my hips, my kind of light. I scream your name, I shut it down, 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 down. I know.
What's the story, NXT fans? Tonight's topics on the Wrestle story are Gargano going to TakeOver,
Bianca Belair thinks that she is the top dog.
and a contender for the NXT Championship is chosen.
All that and more coming up. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the Wrestle story, where we discuss all things wrestling, the legends of the past, the superstars of the present, and the trailblazers of the future. We stream every Monday night after Raw, every Tuesday after SmackDown, every Wednesday after NXT, and after every pay-per-view. We also throw in a few extra specials for things like wrestling or pay-per-view previews,
Well, of course it's wrestling.
wrestling previews, and also for things such as, you know, if we get news or information that may be pertinent to wrestling. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that little bell thing and subscribe to our channel.
Yes, make sure you do that. Because we're here every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
All right.
Talking about weekly shows.
So
And
tonight,
pay-per-views.
there was not a whole lot that happened.
Not really. It was an hour-long show, but it felt kind of, it felt a lot shorter than it normally does.
Well, they were supposed to have the Keith Lee and
Dominic Dijakovic match.
Yes, and
That was supposed to be this week.
for whatever reason,
It
they
was not.
ended up not having it.
I wonder if we'll see that next week.
I would assume so.
Because if they taped this before, and they have the match with the Tag Team Classic for next week, then maybe they just moved their filming up a bit.
Yeah, it's possible.
So then they are going to end up putting that match on there instead of this week's.
Well, the one thing I don't
But they
understand.
could have put that match on.
Well,
this
that's just
week's.
it. Is they had a lot of time there that they could have put the match. And this is the one thing I don't like about NXT is the fact that they do not. I mean, they have a lot of. They have really good weeks where they show several matches, and then they have weeks like this where you have a lot of dead air and a lot of dead time, and there's really not a lot taking place.
Yeah.
And they've done a really good job, creating storylines and getting storylines going just in the hour that they do things. And, including throwing matches in there too. So, like, tonight was kind of a weak NXT overall for matches and the way it kind of went down.
Yeah. So, with that being said, we opened the show with Triple H. And he came out and addressed Tommaso Ciampa and the NXT Championship.
Yes, he certainly did.
He said that he was going to come out and announce the main event for NXT TakeOver. Originally, that's what he was going to do. And it was going to be Johnny Gargano versus the then NXT champion, Tommaso Ciampa, in an epic main event. Then he goes on to say, unfortunately, I can't do that because Tommaso Ciampa has already underwent neck surgery and will not be back for a long time.
I thought the way he did it, I thought it was really good. He comes out and talks about, how you have a dream of being at this level, and sometimes, it takes years to get here.
And
then sometimes your body just doesn't work with you.
Yeah.
And that dream is kind of either put on hold or taken away from you. Mm-hmm. So his whole promo I thought was really good with how he did it.
I liked it too. He then goes on to say Gargano will still fight for the championship at NXT TakeOver, but the other person in that match to decide who will then go on to face Gargano will be decided tonight in a fatal 5-way against Adam Cole versus Ricochet versus Aleister Black versus Matt Riddle versus Velveteen Dream. And whoever wins that will go to TakeOver to face Gargano in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the championship.
Yes.
Do you like the way they did this?
No.
Why?
Well, I think they could have done a quick tournament and just have 1-on-1 instead of doing the fatal 5-way. I've told you I don't
determine
like
who goes on to face.
Yeah, because I've told you before I don't like when you're going for a championship or you're in a championship match.
Yeah.
I don't like having multiple teams or multiple partner or multiple wrestlers in a match that determines who's going to wrestle for the championship or who is wrestling for the championship.
Yeah.
I would rather see 1-on-1 or, if it's a tag team matches, and then you have a tournament and have it done that way.
Yeah. You have made that very clear in the past that is what you like and not multi-man matches 90% of the time. So he announced that was pretty cool. That took up maybe 10 minutes,
maybe,
if even. Then we go backstage to Cassie Kelly in an interview with Kona Reeves, and he's just talking about what he plans to do here in NXT. And then he leaves, and then we have the Forgotten Sons who come out of the dressing room, which they're standing in front of. And they say, Ricochet and Aleister Black. I mean, I don't know why we're so focused on this match that they have tonight when they should be focused on the one that they have next week. But you know what? Go ahead and have them win, and then they'll be focused on that, and they won't be paying any attention to the Dusty Classic when next week we have a match, and we will go on to TakeOver to face the War Raiders for the titles. So they were really focused on that aspect of it, trying to get them distracted. But I was like, wait. Does that make any sense to you at all, what they just said? Because they go, oh, well, let Aleister Black and Ricochet win. And I'm like, what? There's only going to be one winner. So how does that make any sense at all? Y'all obviously didn't read what was happening here, because you sound like total ding dongs.
Well, I think they just messed up their words. I think all that happened with that. They meant to say Aleister Black or Ricochet.
I guess. But they kind of screwed that up a little bit. So then we had a promo video for the 5 competitors and the match that they have tonight. It was just them talking about the NXT Championship and how much they'd like to win it. And it was like a little 2-minute segment from each one, which ended up, being like 10 minutes when there's 5 of them. So that was like another 10 minutes of the show right there. And so then you're 20 minutes into the show and we haven't even seen a match yet.
Yeah, I thought that they could have thrown a match in here. They had a match that was scheduled to be this week.
But
I think with the Ciampa thing, it kind of
threw stuff off a bit.
Changed some things, but they could have had another match or two on the show rather than doing it the way they did it.
They could have, 100%. So then we see a Tommaso Ciampa neck surgery video, where they showed a little clip of when the doctors were talking about what they were going to do, and it was him laying in his hospital bed and, just kind of seeing what happened with him a little bit over the last week or 2 weeks. I
thought this was kind of a cool segment. They showed, like, x-rays, and I would assume they were, like, legitimate x-rays of Ciampa's.
You would assume, yeah.
And then they showed him before he went in for surgery, and then after he came out of surgery.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was kind of a cool segment because then they kind of get that real life, the wrestler's real life thing going on there that kind of makes people realize they're a real person.
Yeah, it does. So then, after that, we have a Kairi Sane and Io Shirai interview. And it was just them at first. They were backstage doing a photo shoot thing for WWE. And then the interviewer, Cass Kelly, she comes up and she asks some questions about, not next week, when they go to fight for the championship. And, will you work together or how will you do this? And they were like, oh, well, we're still friends. And nothing is going to change with that. But if it comes down to where Kairi and I have to fight, then we will do what we have to do, Both of us want that championship. And, of course, we'll still be friends after it's over, but we want the gold. We want the gold around our waist. And so they kind of went with that angle where they might potentially be working together in that match for a little bit. And then Bianca Belair comes in and she's like, oh, excuse me. Y'all think you're going to win it when actually it's going to be me because I'm undefeated, which is what she normally does. And so she just kind of went on and on about how she's going to win it and she's going to become the new NXT champion or women's champion. And, that was essentially that. Now, actually with this match, I had a thought for what they could do following this match.
Okay.
So this would involve Shayna Baszler being moved up. And I kind of thought about this the other day, and I don't remember if I said anything about this before. But they move her up to the main roster, and if Ronda Rousey was going to leave, they kind of have that, like, I guess Ronda Rousey passing the torch, but not really passing the torch. Shayna Baszler just comes up, and, Ronda Rousey's making her farewell speech or whatever on Raw the next night after she has lost the Women's Championship at WrestleMania. And Shayna Baszler has lost her Women's Championship at TakeOver. And then she comes up and she's moved to the main roster.
They could do that. The thing is, they probably don't really need to. They've got some wrestlers they brought up that they don't use that they could be using.
Yeah.
And that's the one issue I have right now.
Evans.
Lacey Evans. Even though Nikki Cross isn't like, I don't think main event type person, she's been used sporadically. At first, I thought she was going to get a push, and they've kind of cooled off on that.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, we've talked about, having your higher card people, your mid card, and then your lower card people. And they need to involve more wrestlers create better storylines, more storylines, and not have so much of this like fatal 4-ways and fatal 5-ways, and
Yes.
before long we're gonna have fatal 6-ways. And you know, I just think that they could do so much more with it if they would just get more creative than what they've been.
Yeah. So next, we have the last thing of the evening. It is the Adam Cole versus Ricochet versus Aleister Black versus Matt Riddle versus Velveteen Dream for the Contender spot.
Very good match, I thought.
I thought it was very good. Going into it, I said Adam Cole was going to win.
He did. And it was almost obvious who was going to win. Because with Ricochet and Aleister Black both being up on the main roster, getting a push up there, Matt Riddle's still kind of a newcomer.
And I think they're going to do something with Velveteen Dream come take over.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is Matt Riddle and Velveteen Dream are going to already probably have a match.
So it wouldn't make any sense to have them.
You were kind of left knowing that
Adam Cole's the only
Adam
logical
Cole is
choice,
probably going
man.
to be I mean, he was the only logical choice to have win this match. I don't think that there was really any surprise thrown out there.
No, not really. Going into it, I said Adam Cole because literally, he's the most logical sense. He makes the most logical sense going into it. If they're gonna do Matt Riddle, Velveteen Dream, and if Ricochet and Aleister Black are already in the thing next week, and I'm assuming they're probably gonna win, and they're gonna go on to take over to win, or to, if not, I'd say they probably would win the tag team championship belts, if I'm being completely honest. So
I would agree. I mean, it's. I'll have to. The Revival made a comment today on Twitter. I'll see if I can find where they talked about. But
well, there's also talk of Revival versus Aleister Black and Ricochet versus like Rude and Gable or something at WrestleMania. So I mean, if they were to go and they were to win the tag team belt, Ricochet and Aleister Black, if they were to win the tag team belts on Friday, they rest up on Saturday, WrestleMania is Sunday, and then they win the championships there.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. I think it's possible. You know, it's.
I think it would be pretty cool.
I think it'd be cool too.
And just to kind of, maybe they unify the tag titles after that. Maybe not. I mean, it's just kind of would depend, I guess, on whether they feel that they should unify them or not.
Yeah. You know, they need to create storylines, and right now their storylines are kind of weak. NXT is where the best storylines are, and I thought tonight was kind of a weak.
It was a very weak showing.
They had a good match, and I think that all 5 of these guys that were in this match will always have a good match, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But the storyline was weak. I mean, like I said, we knew going in who was probably going to win this. There was no surprise or anything like that, just because of the situation where you have Ricochet and Aleister Black already going up.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Riddle and Velveteen Dream have kind of been setting up their match now for a week or two. And so the only logical person to win this
would be
Adam Cole.
Now, going into TakeOver, does Johnny Gargano win or does Adam Cole win?
Well, it depends on what they're going to do with him. I mean, if the thought is to get Gargano up, I mean, we saw him and Ciampa there for a while going up and being on the main roster. And now, with Ciampa being hurt and things like that, I don't know what's going to happen. And since they were going to turn them on each other anyway, I don't know where they're going with this. So I really don't know. I mean, it's kind of up in the air what they'll do with Adam Cole and Gargano. I would assume that they're going to have a feud for a while. If they were to move Johnny
Gargano up, then they'd probably have Adam Cole be the winner. If they were going to keep Johnny Gargano down there, they're probably going to put the belt on Gargano.
And I would say right now they'd probably keep Gargano down. Just because...
There is no more Ciampa.
Well, they don't use their... Well, I don't think they were going to be a tag team any longer anyway. I think they were setting that up to have Well, first off, I think they were showcasing the NXT stars and what they have on NXT. So, which is why, you know, I was kind of surprised that Ricochet and Aleister Black are going up and are going to stay up, just because they have not used NXT wrestlers real well up on the main roster.
But they seem to be using them
and
really well.
Yeah, well, they're giving them a push. I mean, that's the one thing they are doing, is giving them a push, and I think they're slowly getting over with the fans.
Yeah.
That didn't know who they were before, but are starting to figure out that, you know, who they are now.
They are. And
so the Gargano and Cole, I think that both of them...
Hello, hey, Bendy. How are you?
I think both Gargano and Cole are in a situation where they're probably both going to be stuck at NXT for now, which is probably a good place for them, because I think right now if they go up to the main roster, they just get lost like EC3 and, you know, some of the wrestlers that Heavy Machinery.
Yes.
Some of those wrestlers, some of the people they have brought up, and
you can barely hear us?
Let me see if we can fix this. Is that better?
Is that better, Bendy?
Can you hear us now? Because it sounds pretty clear in my headphones.
Well, it doesn't help if we're sitting here going... not talking.
Anyway, I think that, you know, they need to keep some of these wrestlers down at NXT to try and keep them relevant.
And I think... Okay, good. That's better. All right, cool. I don't have a clue what that was, because in your headset you said you could hear it, and it was, like, loud enough.
Yeah, so it's weird.
Weird.
Who knows?
So,
anyway.
Thanks, Bendy.
So, you know, now you made me lose my train of thought here, Bendy. I can get back on the train. I think that I'm getting a lot of background noise, though. Great. Awesome.
Man. Having issues with our sound this evening, I guess.
That's okay. On our screen, our stream stopped showing, so I was hoping people could see us.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening this evening.
No one knows what's happening this evening.
Your train of thought.
Yeah.
You lost it.
Oops. Sorry. My bad. Hit the wrong button. Trying to figure out some technical difficulties here.
Okay. Oh, that was funny.
So, you know, Adam Cole and Ricochet Adam Cole and
banging and bumping noises.
I don't know what's banging and bumping. We don't have anything banging and bumping.
I have no idea.
Today we do have a kid screaming in the background.
Technical difficulties. Don't know why.
Yeah, that was loud. Sorry, man. Kid screaming. And that was like from 4,000. It's amazing that we're sitting here right next to the mic. That is weird.
You weren't as loud as that was. I think Bendy's talking about the do thing.
Oh yeah, that was really loud, wasn't it?
I don't think he was talking about the kid screaming.
Oh, good. Well,
it's okay.
So, you know, they have to keep some of these wrestlers down at NXT. I think that that's the only way they can keep them relevant. It's the only way that they can use them. And if I was these guys that are on NXT, I would be happy to be on NXT, because they've shown right now that they have no clue what to do with some of the NXT people that come up.
Yeah. The only ones they're doing anything with is Ricochet and Aleister Black. And that's probably because they're still doing stuff down in NXT, and they got to get them exposure so then people go watch the Dusty Classic or NXT TakeOver.
Well, and I think that's part
where
of
they have their match for the tag titles.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's probably why they're doing it. And they're trying to get people to go purchase the WWE Network. And, you know, if NXT jumps up onto Fox or wherever they're going to put it, if it goes to a major network, then everybody will be able to see them. And so, you know, I'm kind of, you know, torn here, because Yes, I was talking about the rest of the story. I don't hear any kind of... Oh, sorry. We thought you were talking about the kid screaming in the background. My bad.
Right.
So, when you have these people and you don't use them, it makes it tough to have people keep interest. And I know that's one of the issues a lot of WWE fans have right now, or wrestling fans, not necessarily WWE fans, just wrestling fans.
Yeah.
Is that the storylines are not good because you have all these fatal four ways and all of the these things that are taking place that people don't want to really want to see.
Yeah.
And so when you have that, it kind of turns people off and makes it so they really don't want to watch, the
Wrestling.
product you're putting out there.
Yeah. So I actually have the NXT TakeOver New York card as of right now. This is what all the matches that we have. We have the NXT Women's Championship match, Shayna Baszler, who's the champ, versus Kairi Sane versus Io Shirai versus Bianca Belair in a fatal four-way match. Tag Team Championship will be determined next week who the War Raiders will face. It will either be the Forgotten Sons or Ricochet and Aleister Black. Of course, we have the Adam Cole versus Johnny Gargano. And then from NXT TakeOver, we have... from NXT TakeOver. Whoa. From NXT... I'm a ding-dong sometimes. From NXT UK, the UK Championship will be defended...
Pete Dunne and Walter.
Yeah, they will have a match at TakeOver for that championship. So, that is everything we have right now. I'm assuming there will probably be Matt Riddle versus Velveteen Dream for the North American Championship. I'm assuming. I would think that would be the direction they're headed, just due to the fact that they have been doing a lot of stuff with them recently together.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably going to happen.
And I can't think of any other matches that they would have on that card except for that.
No.
Maven got louder. Yay!
How do I sound? Can you hear me okay? Yes.
It helps if you talk.
Yes. No.
Bendy.
Can you hear me?
So, that's pretty much a TakeOver card as it is right now. I don't see it getting much bigger than that. Maybe there'll be a singles match, something like Keith Lee versus Dominik Dijakovic, but probably not. Just because...
Good.
Just due to the fact that they already have, or they have the UK Championship match, the women's match, the tag match, Adam Cole and Ricochet for the NXT Championship. They're probably going to have the North American Championship match, and normally that's about all they put on a TakeOver. It's about 5 matches or so.
I think that's a good number to put on. I don't think you need to overdo it. You can keep it simple and you keep it short, and people stay interested in it.
Yeah.
And so, I think WrestleMania...
It's going to be long.
Well, it's going to be long, but based on what we've seen, I think you're going to see a lot of people complaining about
People have already been complaining about the length of it. I said I really don't care because wrestling is like all I watch, so I don't care. But I know a lot of people who are like, well, so this is going to start at noon and end at midnight? Okay, cool.
Well, I think I think that the problem's going to be is you're going to have some people that are good in matches, but the matches are going to be total crap because I think the length of them are going to have to be cut down, and you're not going to have...
Well, there's talk that it's going to be like a 7-hour show. So, I mean, and then like 17 matches or something like that.
Well, and if they're going to do it that long, how do you keep people's interest for 7 hours?
Like 2 hours for the pre-show and 5 for the actual...
Yeah, how do you keep people's interest?
Actual show itself.
I mean, unless you are a die-hard wrestling fan.
And that's a problem. Why?
Well, it's
what would be a problem, Bendy? Like the length of the show, or how many matches that they have on there? Which would be your what is your
those of you that are in the
question?
Stream, what do you think is having WrestleMania for 7 hours? Which I assume
a 7 hour show. I don't care. I mean, I don't. I would love to sit there for 7 hours and watch wrestling. Woohoo! Good for me. My Sunday evening will be taken up by WrestleMania. Good for me.
But
for like normal people, you know, like you said, that aren't like diehard wrestling fans, would not want to spend 7 hours sitting there watching a pay-per-view.
Those that are in the stream, what do you think? Would you be willing to sit for 7 hours to watch a wrestling show?
I've sat for 5 hours through other pay-per-views like SummerSlam and stuff. So, I mean, LOL. Normal people, yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm normal, but I'd sit and watch a 7 hour wrestling show. So, I mean, I don't know if that makes me normal or not.
But the thing is like movies. People complain about movies that are like 2.5 hours long. And there may be a decent movie, but people are like, that's 2.5 hours. I have to sit there.
Okay.
And so, trying to put together a 7 hour show that's decent and make it look good is going to be tough to do.
People are whiners. Yeah, Bendy, I know, right? 7 hour show. I mean, would you sit through a 7 hour show, Bendy? Would you do it? Would you do it? Because I would. I would sit through it.
Again, I said you would, but
because I'm a diehard wrestling fan, which is part of the reason. But I think it's like Bendy said, people are whiners.
Yeah, I mean they are, but I think that you have
a movie that lasts 3 hours, as long as it's a good movie, would be awesome.
The problem is there are movies that are good that people can complain about that are 3 hours,
which is dumb.
When you have that, it's kind of tough to put together a 7 hour movie or a 7 hour pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And have people keep interest in it.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I mean, 7 hours.
Yes, I know.
See my comment
whiners.
above?
I get it.
People
I get it.
are whiners.
But you're trying to sell your product to the people. So I think that...
Would you sit there and watch a 7 hour show?
I don't have a problem sitting and watching a 7 hour show.
If we didn't do what we do, and we do the streams and stuff, would you sit and watch a 7 hour show?
I don't know, because since we've started watching wrestling, or since I've started watching wrestling again, I don't know if I'd want to sit, if I wasn't doing this, I don't know if I'd really want to sit and watch a 7 hour show, especially when I've talked about, having 4 people wrestling for a title. Or 4 tag teams wrestling for a title.
The people wouldn't be watching it if they weren't interested in it.
And
True statement.
I agree, but I think you're going to lose the interest.
It's a pay-per-view. Yes, it is, Bendy. See, I'm with you, man. I'm not saying a 7 hour pay-per-view is bad.
But
I will sit through it. You have a valid argument, yes. What normal person would want to sit there for 7 hours and watch a pay-per-view? But if you are going to go and watch it, and it's a 7 hour pay-per-view, you know what you're getting yourself into.
You do, but if you want to watch the matches, I mean, this is you're getting your money's... Well, it depends, because if they're crap matches, you're not really getting your money's worth. If a movie is 4 hours long, and you go watch it, and the movie is just crap throughout, are you getting your money's worth?
No, not really.
I mean, you sat there for 4 hours. Does it mean anything? I mean, if they put out a good product,
yeah,
then I wouldn't have a problem with it. The issue I have with it is
you don't know if it'll be good.
I don't know how good of a product they're going to put out. Their storylines have not been real good.
Who said the matches are going to be crap?
I just feel that when you have as many wrestlers in a match that they're putting in matches, then it takes away from the event.
So the multi-man matches, which would be 90% of this year's WrestleMania, because that seems to be the direction they're going.
Yes.
So they can get everybody on the card.
Which I don't like. This is your biggest event, and you're worried about getting everybody on the card at WrestleMania.
They've done that every year for as long as I can remember. The last couple of years, they have done that, where they try to get as many guys as they possibly can on the card. That's why every year they do an Intercontinental title match, which is a ladder match normally. So we get it. Mr. Gleen doesn't like multi-man matches.
Definitely.
Yes, he does not.
Multi-man matches, I absolutely hate. And it's not that, if they do it every now and then, I don't have a problem with it.
But if the whole card is made up of
But if you look at what's happened over the last 3 or 4 weeks, every SmackDown, every Raw, and even you've seen it carried down into NXT.
Somebody out there likes them, or they wouldn't be doing them. Probably Vince.
He's the only one. Because I've seen plenty of people talk about, why are they doing these multi-man matches? It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Again, like I said, it's to get as many guys as they possibly can on the card. So then they all get to be at WrestleMania. So then they all get to be on the biggest stage of them all. So they all get their names out there. And they all get to be noticed by someone. So then maybe, hey, that guy Mustafa Ali who was in that ladder match, what show is he on? He's on SmackDown. I want to go to SmackDown to see what he has to say. Or, oh, look, that guy, Samoa Joe, was in that multi-man match. And I want to go see what he has to say on SmackDown. Or Becky Lynch. She was in that match. And so I'm going to go to SmackDown to see her cut a promo. Or wrestle in the ring. Or whatever the case may be. Then I think what they do for it, they'll get a gold star for being there. LOL. Yeah, they do. But I think part of the thing there, why they put so many guys in there, is so then they have different types of talent out there. So then they have different guys of different sizes, different styles of wrestling, different characters, and then everybody who's watching gets to see someone different, and then they say, like I said, all right, I want to see what Rey Mysterio does on SmackDown, or I want to see what Seth Rollins does on Raw. I think that's why they do it.
Okay, but that might be a casual fan that decides to do that. A true wrestling fan is sitting here going, why are we doing this?
Yes, they might be, but that's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily for the... I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they do it.
They don't know why they do it.
I don't mind them doing it. That's the thing. I don't care that it's a 7-hour show. I'm going to sit there and watch the whole freaking show.
Okay, but... So you have a 7-hour show. If it's crap, does it matter?
You keep saying it's the biggest event of WWE. It's like the Parade of Stars things.
Multi-man matches don't sell. Especially when it's for a title. Or
I will agree. When it's for a title, when it's something for a big title like the Women's Championship, or I can't think of any other multi-man matches for championships right now. But
the Women's Tag Team Championship. That's the one off
the top of my... Oh, the Tag Team Championship,
Why have a Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Team Championship? Now you have the champion lose because someone else got pinned.
Well, I mean, they could do it that way, or they could do the process of elimination.
Well, you know what? Why don't we just take the NCAA basketball tournament and say, someone else lost to someone else, so you're not the champion.
I don't watch basketball, so...
It's the same thing, though. I mean, it's the champions should not be losing because someone else pins somebody other than the champion. I agree.
I don't like when they do that, but I think if they were to do the process of elimination where, hey, the Iconics got pinned, they're eliminated. Now it's Beth Phoenix and Natalya versus Sasha and Bayley versus Nia and Tamina left.
But they don't do that.
And then they do that. I would like to see them do that a lot more. I agree. Having someone, Billie Kay could get pinned by Nia Jax, and then Nia Jax and Tamina, they win the championship. So the champs weren't even pinned in that scenario, which is a little annoying. But sometimes it's just the way, I don't know.
I don't like the multi-man matches. I mean,
sometimes that's just the way it goes, I guess. I mean, I don't know why Vince chooses to do stuff like that. Makes no sense to me.
No, it doesn't. And that's the one thing I don't get is, why... Well, on this thing they're doing with Kofi Kingston, I don't understand that at all.
I have ideas. Actually, they're not my ideas. I saw them on Twitter or on Busted Open Radio or something like that today when I was listening to it. And one of the ideas that was thrown around was that Kofi is in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and he has to win that to Stolen Ideas. Yes, I'm sorry, Stolen Ideas, but it's another theory as to what could potentially happen, and I wanted to throw this out there. Bully Ray, I believe, on Busted Open Radio is the one who talked about this, and he said, well, Kofi could be put into the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal match, and then he has to win that to then have a championship match later in the evening.
Oh, I get it. This is why we have to have a 7-hour show, because Kofi Kingston has to be in every match to get to Daniel Bryan.
Then it comes down to like him and Braun Strowman or something like that. That's the idea he gave. What's a Battle Royal match? It's the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. It's on the pre-show normally.
It's where you throw, in this case, 20 men.
It's where you throw the guy over
30
the ropes.
men into a battle royal.
Okay, so you know the Royal Rumble?
Yeah.
It's like the Royal Rumble, less people, and they're all in the ring at once.
Yeah.
They don't come out one at a time. So they said it comes down, or Bully Ray said it comes down to Kofi and Braun Strowman. And for everything that Braun Strowman has been put through with Vince and general managers who have screwed him over and everything over the last couple of years, he is like, you know what, I'm just going to step over the ropes. And then Kofi ends up going, and he's like, screw you, Vince, you know? I'm just going to step over, and then
no, Bendy.
Kofi.
People like when there's more than just two guys. That's if it's a battle royal, not a match that is just for, you know.
See, Bendy's trying to get you to say that you like multi-man matches.
No, I don't like multi-man matches.
I don't know if we'll ever get him to say that.
I'm cool with the battle royal.
Cool with the Royal Rumble?
The Royal Rumble, too. Battle royal, Royal Rumble. I mean, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. But you don't like...
I don't like
Royal
multi-man
Rumble.
matches. The Royal Rumble. Yes.
Royal Rumble, yeah. So, that was another thought that was thrown around, was where Kofi wins that, but Braun Strowman in the end ends up just stepping over the rope and says, Kofi, it's all yours. You go 50v50. Fortnite? Yeah.
Yeah, Bendy. Something like that.
Yeah.
Only every man's for himself. It's not, you know... It's
team.
like just a regular Fortnite game.
Yes, it is. So I thought that was very interesting, and I think that is a very well a possibility. I would still like to see all the superstars who kind of defended him and were in the back last night come out and next week and be like, yo, Vince, this is not cool. This is not cool at all. Give Kofi his opportunity, or we walk. And we're not with Elias. We're not walking with Elias. We are walking.
Yeah.
And we are not wrestling.
Well,
until you put Kofi in a match, and then Vince comes out and he says, okay. I can't do a Vince McMahon.
This goes back into what I said yesterday could possibly happen. You have a lot of these superstars come out and say, we're not going to wrestle if Kofi Kingston doesn't get a title shot. And here, I didn't find the exact tweet. I told you a little bit earlier about the revival, and one of them had tweeted something. I can't find the exact tweet, but Scott Dawson made a comment about WWE disrespecting them, and how the Iconics are now being disrespected with the way they've been treated recently. And so it kind of leads me into believing that, and he's kind of been in a Twitter battle with people that have made comments and
Twitter wars. They're trying to take pointers from Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey. But,
pretty much.
You know, they will never be as good as their Twitter war was.
So, but they're doing it with individual people that are like commenting on their posts and things like that. It's not just between them. There's other people, you know, fans and things that are being put in the middle of it. So basically, they talked about how they've been disrespected and things like that, and how they weren't getting a push until just recently. And, of course, we talked about the rumors of them possibly leaving.
And then they get the championships
And then they get
put
the
on them,
championships.
like, the next week. And so we were like, huh?
But the weird thing is...
Now, are they going to put the championship belts on the Iconics at WrestleMania?
The Iconics disrespect everyone every match, every time they open their screaming screen. That's funny.
We should screenshot that and put that on Twitter.
Yeah.
And just reply to the Revival.
Yeah.
This is what our Bendy thinks.
Yeah, definitely.
The Iconics disrespect everyone.
So anyway...
When they open their mouths and scream.
If
that is hilarious.
If they're feeling disrespected, the New Day is now feeling disrespected. You've had people come out and push for Kofi. Are they gonna have a scenario where all these people, like on a Raw or SmackDown, come out and say, we're not wrestling at WrestleMania if you don't put Kofi in the title match?
Maybe. That was another thing I heard somewhere where they talked about what if they like hold up the show, and they pull a Daniel Bryan from a couple years back where he held up the show until he was fairly treated and was given his opportunity, and they held up the show.
Oh, great. So now a 7-hour show is going to be turned into a 9-hour show.
And so, on a Raw or SmackDown or something.
If they do it on Raw or SmackDown,
that's what it was. It was on a Raw or SmackDown. And they hold up the show, and everybody comes out and is like, hey, you know what? This is not cool. Vince, we don't care if you sign our paychecks or not. We don't care. So somebody's going to throw a tantrum until they get their way. Yeah, pretty much. So, Kofi deserves this. He's been working for 11 years. And you don't think that he is championship holder title person material? What are you thinking?
The weird thing was yesterday.
I have another theory, too.
Yesterday during the match, when Kofi is going through this gauntlet.
That will make it worth watching. Yes.
Kofi's going through this gauntlet, and you had all these people watching in the back. And you had people that were seen as rivals or...
The Usos, man!
That's what I'm saying.
The Usos were back there. The Usos and New Day have had a rivalry, like, in the books so many times. They have fought each other for those championship belts and have not seen eye to eye, like, ever. And to have the Usos and the New Day both backstage chowing down on some pancakes, watching Kofi, they're going, yeah, Kof, come on, man. You gotta do this. You deserve this. This is what you should have had this a long time ago.
Which is why...
To see people like that.
Which is why I think, and now you got the Revival talking about being disrespected, the Iconics talking about being disrespected by WWE. Are they all gonna get together and say... Because, yesterday you also had all these wrestlers saying Kofi deserves this shot in their promos. Okay? So during their promos, they're all talking about Kofi deserves a shot.
Mm-hmm. The Miz.
Are all of these people... Well, The Miz talked about Shane and being,
you don't own
just
me.
like his dad and you don't own me and all these things.
Pulling a Ronda Rousey.
So
Ronda Rousey would never stick up for Kofi. Sorry.
Are they
she
all...
but...
Yeah, she would if it was... If it was this situation where they're trying to go against WWE,
maybe she would.
I think that you could see her
standing
up for
Probably, maybe. But I don't think she would do it in a nicey nice person way.
I think she would, just because it's going to be, well, first off, it's going to be part of the storyline. It's going against the WWE. I just think that the Ronda Revolution. Yes. It all
started when Ronda Rousey showed up.
You are going to see, and watching things on Twitter, watching the shows, I think you're going to see these stars step up and say, hey, we don't wrestle unless Kofi gets a shot at the title.
I have another theory. So if they do the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal scenario, where Kofi has to win that to go to WrestleMania, and all these people that are in that all think that Kofi should have his title opportunity. If the match starts and then they all literally hop the rope.
They can't do that.
And Kofi is left there standing in the middle of the ring and he ends up winning because everybody gets out. because they all think that he should go and get a championship opportunity.
Okay, but you can't do that. Because then you're taking away from the fans. If you do that, you've taken away from the fans. People come to watch a show, and they want to see a show.
It's one match out of 17.
It is, but it's, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal Memorial.
You said it wrong.
It's the Royal Boyle, whatever.
Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. See,
Yeah,
now
that's
I
it.
can say it, but you can't.
Whatever it is.
This is great.
It's an important, seen as an important match. Even if it's on the pre-show, it's seen as an important match. And you can't take away from the fans. So you can't just have them go, oh, I quit, I'm jumping over the rope, and Kofi wins.
You could if they were trying to screw over Vince McMahon. And Vince is like, oh, he'll never make it through. All these guys are going to throw him out. But then they don't.
Okay, but you're taking away from the fans.
I mean, yes, I guess.
So you're not only hurting Vince McMahon, but you're now hurt the fans. And I'm sure
The
that
fans would go nuts
They would.
because if Kofi won and he was going to have a title match later that evening, they wouldn't even care.
they
We
they
quit
would.
and we are going to AEW.
I think they definitely would go nuts. I mean, it's one of those things
Plot
where
twist.
definitely one of those things where I think the fans would go crazy, but you're taking away from what they paid to see.
I mean, yes, I guess. But like I said, I think by the end of the evening, they wouldn't care. Kofi wins the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and then he goes on to win the WWE Championship. I don't think people are even going to really remember the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
They won't, and in most cases they won't. But at the time, you're taking away from the fans. And there's another way you could do it. Do a SmackDown or Raw where everybody just goes, we're not going to wrestle until Kofi is put in a match.
I don't think it'll be... I mean, I think that would make a great segment, but Vince will probably throw another wrench in his plan just because that's what he's done thus far. And I don't think he literally will be just say, all right, y'all want to walk unless I put Kofi in that match. Well, here is what I'm going to tell you. I am not going to put Kofi in the match. I will, however, put him in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and if he can win that, he will go on to fight for the championship.
I just don't like that idea. I would rather see the way they've done this.
Because I don't know how that would make any sense.
I just don't like
people have said what Vince, truly, if they're going off of the Vince McMahon character and him being a heel and saying, all right, I don't give a care. If his entire roster was to say, hey, we walk unless you put Kofi in the main event match for the WWE Championship.
I don't like it.
Okay, fine, walk. I still got the roster on Raw. It's fine. If they were going to try and go with his character. I don't see him letting up that easily, though.
The thing is that's where you have, people from both Raw and SmackDown doing this.
I guess, yeah, you could do it both nights and have somebody started on Raw and say, hey, I saw SmackDown last week. This was not cool. Kofi should have been put in that match. And I think Vince McMahon should hear it.
Well,
and then they call out Vince McMahon.
This could be a way that they get, like, EC3, Mojo Rawley, some of those people that you haven't seen. They step up and go, hey, I'll wrestle because I'm never on the show anyway, so I'll go out there and wrestle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have your primary wrestlers that we see every week come out and go, we're not going to wrestle if you don't put Kofi in the title match. And then you have your kind of people that you never see step up and say, hey, we'll wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, sure. That would work.
I mean, it would show... It would throw a twist into the Kofi thing, where the superstars are going to be
rebelling against the WWE.
Yes.
Another thing was, what if what if Stephanie comes out and she says, you know what, Dad, is this really what's best for business? Not putting Kofi in the match? Do you see how much people... This is why we reinstated Becky. Because the fans wanted to see it. So, put Kofi in the WrestleMania match.
I could see that.
It's best for business.
I could see that happening. You know? I don't know. But they need to get Kofi into the title match.
They almost have to at this point. And if they don't, I mean, that would be stupid.
If they get him in the title match, that's going to be your main event.
I still disagree.
Well, you can disagree. That's going to be your main event.
But I still don't see it being the main event. Just due to the fact, the first ever women's main event is going to be that match. The women's match.
So then they have co-main events. But I'm telling you that if Kofi gets into the title...
I've said this so many times. The first big match, will be Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. The next big match will be the Kofi and Daniel Bryan. And then to end the show, it will be the women's match.
We'll see what happens.
At least I would hope. I really hope they don't put Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins last.
It's going to be
out of all the three of them, that is personally, in my opinion, the worst.
I agree.
Big championship match out of all three of them.
Yes.
That is the literal worst. They've done nothing with it.
No.
And they can't do anything with it because Brock Lesnar's never on TV. So it might as well be Paul Heyman versus Seth Rollins because where's Brock? He was there on Raw this week but did like nothing. So, purpose of that match? I don't really know. So I really hope they don't close the show out with that because that would make me angry if they close the show out with that. Like, they will hear it from me on Twitter.
Yeah. I would love
They will hear it from a lot of people on Twitter.
I would love to see him go back to, used to be you had to defend your title within 30 days. And I think that if they did that, it would kind of add a little more spice to wrestling.
And for sure the Universal Championship.
Because then your champion's going to have to show up on Raw or SmackDown
to defend
every once in a while to defend their title.
I heard that Brock Lesnar may or may not be going to SmackDown after it moves to Fox.
Why would they do that?
To put a big name over on that show where he shows up, I guess, once every 6 months.
Well,
I think the smart move would be to move Roman Reigns over there.
Well, moving Brock Lesnar over makes no sense because he never shows up.
I mean,
if he showed up more often, then okay. But,
that's not the case.
If he does what he does with Raw, it's not a good move.
No.
Because it does nothing for it. He shows up once every 4, 5, 6 weeks. And then, leaves. And when he does show up, he doesn't even wrestle. It's just
he doesn't attack anybody, and it's not even a promo for him.
No, it's Paul Heyman.
It's Paul Heyman. This is why I said the match at WrestleMania should be Paul Heyman versus Seth Rollins because Brock Lesnar has not even been used in this equation thus far.
No.
He F5'd him like 6 times or something like that the week after the Royal Rumble. That was it.
Yeah.
And where has he been since then?
Nowhere. Yeah.
There was no Brock Lesnar. So one more thing I did want to mention. We did figure out the match for the women's champion, or the SmackDown Women's Championship. I actually watched the video on Twitter. I did not watch it last night when we were doing our stream. But I did after the fact. And it is going to be Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville versus Naomi versus Carmella in a fatal 4-way match on SmackDown next week. If it was on Raw, that'd be ridiculous. On SmackDown next week to determine who will go to face Asuka for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania.
Oh, another fatal 4-way match.
But there will only be one winner out of it.
Yeah, but I agree. I agree, but I just don't like him.
My pick in that match is Sonya Deville.
I agree. I think she'll win.
I think she will win, or at the very least, Naomi will win. Because I think she is kind of the fallback type of character. She's like
but you haven't seen much out of her.
I guess, is what I would say. No disrespect towards Naomi, because I think she's an amazing competitor, but I just feel like she's not really in the spotlight right now. And Sonya Deville to me would make more sense, but if they were trying to put Naomi over again, I would say Naomi would be my second guess, because I don't think they'd put Mandy Rose back in the title spot when she just lost to Asuka.
I would hope not.
And then Carmella is doing stuff with R-Truth, so I mean, they could have just done the three of them against each other and left Carmella out of it entirely, but Mella's got to get her spot too, I guess.
Yeah.
Be on TV. So Sonya Deville is my pick for that. And if she does not win and it's Mandy Rose, I will be shocked. But also not, just because that's kind of the way it goes. And then going into WrestleMania, if it was Sonya Deville versus Asuka, would Sonya Deville get the title? I'd like to see that, personally.
I don't know.
But there's also that chance of Asuka retaining, just because it's kind of what she does.
Yeah. So, I don't know. We'll see. See what happens.
Very curious.
You don't see a lot of Asuka on SmackDown, so...
She was not on TV this week. For the 50th week or so in a row. Again,
they don't use talent the way they should.
No.
There's too much dead air that they have. They could have a lot more matches rather than a lot of the promos that they do, because their promos right now don't lead to anything.
Yes.
In many cases.
Yeah.
Or they just recap what happened the week before.
Yeah. Which does not help.
No.
But so, yeah. I'm curious to see what they do this week. With only 2 weeks left till WrestleMania. 18 days. I cannot believe it. I am so excited and so ready to just see WrestleMania.
The countdown's on.
I know it's 18 days. I'm like, I can't wait.
That was an iconic type thing. Don't ever do that again.
Can't wait. That was more iconic.
Yeah.
Iconic.
So with that, I think we will close out this stream. Reminder, we stream every Monday night after Raw, every Tuesday after SmackDown, every Wednesday after NXT, and after every pay-per-view.
Also, do preview streams before every pay-per-view.
Yes.
We will have TakeOver coming up here soon. Short streamer, so I think on Hall of Fame. Just kind of maybe mentioning some key points of the Hall of Famers' careers and stuff. Talking about that they were inducted. And then we have WrestleMania.
Yes, coming up.
I'm so excited.
One thing I was going to say, if you would like to see us cover NXT UK,
let us,
Live 205,
let us know.
And main event on our stream, we would look to do it maybe the same night that we do our NXT stream, just to fill more with matches and things that are taking place. Yeah. I know NXT UK has some pretty good wrestlers over there.
I did too. I got to catch a glimpse of it today, but I did not see a ton of it because I did have something to do. So I caught a glimpse of it, and what I saw was pretty good. So.
All right. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that little bell button so you know when we go live. We will be back next Monday
for a recap of Monday Night Raw.
Be less than 2 weeks away from WrestleMania when we stream next Monday. If you have any questions, any ideas, put them in our comments section. We will read it. We will respond to you. And
also, thinking about it, they're going to have to announce somebody else new for Hall of Fame this week.
Yes.
Oh, well, this next week.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering who that'll be.
It'll be interesting to see.
Heart Foundation, maybe?
Possibly.
Because I was speculated. So I'm curious to see who they...
Love you too, Bendy. With that, we're out. Peace, people.